Hey Justin, how you doing?
Hey there, Albert. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, thanks. I got to check out Apache Junction and I loved it. I mean, I found it wasn't quite typical Western. It had a little bit of a twist in the central character being a journalist, and I thought that was a brilliant move.
Oh man, thank you so much, man. It's it's a genre that never gets old. There's just so many stories you can tell, especially from that time period.
Of course, and I yeah, and there's another director, Joe Cornett. He's like becoming the new Western king as well. He's doing a lot more westerns, like indie westerns, and that's
And
what it reminded me of.
what's his name?
Joe Cornett. I've seen
Joe
some of his.
Cornett.
Yeah, he's done a lot of his films are like what modern like well they're westerns, but he made them like within the last couple of years, so it's pretty good
Cool.
stuff. So my first question is, how did the idea come up for Apache Junction?
Um, I'd done a few lectures prior to it, and it's just trying to figure out what's the next story you kind of want to tell. I've always kind of told, or at least tried to implement a female viewpoint or a female character into what I think is a male-dominated genre.
Hmm.
Part of that is because I got told when I first started in this business that it's a male-dominated genre and women don't sell. Literally, that got said to me, and that kind of was one of those things that rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, that's not true, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree
And
with that. Yeah.
so yeah, so when I started to go down this path with this story, I wanted to tell it from a character's viewpoint. That when you look at occupations back then, I wanted to take someone from the big city and travel them out west into this lawless territory. And I thought, what better way than a young woman trying to prove herself as a reporter who goes into the gnarliest stretch of the Wild West to get a story, to make a name for herself. And that ended up being, I was like, yes, I want to tell a story, you know.
That's amazing, and I'm glad you did that because I'm all for seeing from different viewpoints, whether it's male or female, or you know, even trans or whatnot. I mean, I feel like everyone needs that equality today, and I think that was a smart move, showing that from a female point of view. And I actually spoke with Scout earlier today, and she said that's what helped her. That's what inspired her to take on the role of Annabelle, and I thought she did an amazing job on the film. So, what was it like working
Yeah,
with
she
her?
did. It was good, man. I've been a fan of Scouts. I'm a huge horror fan, so when I got name proposed to me as that for that character, I said I love Scout's work. I was a huge Halloween fan of Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, so I was familiar with her work, and I she fit the role great. She lived that character. I mean, it was a natural fit, and she did a great job. She has that innocence kind of about her in the movie where she comes out here and it's like, oh my gosh, I've been dropped into this crazy place, and of course finding the story she didn't expect to find.
Yeah,
Um,
and I like the fact that she didn't play so much the damsel in distress. Like she kept the backbone. Like she was still strong willed, and I think that was a very important thing about that character.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I gotta say, I liked the Rob Zombie Halloween also, and I also told her I was a big fan of the Runaways, and I thought she was great in that film as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
She's a total sweetheart.
yeah, and I gotta say, when I saw the trailer and I saw Stuart Townsend, my mouth literally dropped to the ground because I didn't recognize him. When I first saw it,
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened to him? I'm like, oh my gosh, has it been that long since I just saw Queen of the Damned a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, now I see him in this movie, and I'm like, has it already been 20 years? Oh my god, that's insane. But he looks totally different, but he did an amazing job as the protector in Jericho Ford, and I liked the bit of the backstory that you gave him, like, and he just was great in that film. What was it like working with him?
Stu was awesome, man. I like from the minute they sent me photos of him in costume when they were doing the fitting. I told my costume designer Sam, I was like, it's perfect. And then of course we really had to find the right hat. But like he has so many resemblances to like that Eastwood look, from the Dollar Trilogy, and he has that. He just has that presence, man, when he works him, and he's so nice to work with. That's one of the highlights of my career, is getting to work with Stu. He completely embodied that character. He had great questions when we were going into it, and he loves horses. I mean, he wanted to do a western, and I could not have asked for a better lead in that particular actor. I was a big fan of his too, man. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I love that movie.
Yeah, and I gotta say, well, you mentioned the Eastwood thing. I was telling Scout that in our earlier interview. I'm like, he reminded me of Clint Eastwood in the Dollar Trilogy, even down to the look and the way he presented himself. It's like he's gonna be like the next. He's gonna be like this generation's Clint Eastwood if he keeps doing westerns.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely got that look, man, and he's got the swagger, and I would love to do another western with him, and even give him a little more. And I know one of the things I wish I could have done more was more horseback riding, which is always a challenge to do on westerns anyway. You just kind of want to get out on like open country and let an actor like let loose, and unfortunately we didn't get to really do that on this one. But
yeah, maybe the next time.
I love working with Stu. He's massively talented.
I gotta say, the big surprise for me at first was Trace Adkins as Hensley, because I was talking about musicians going into acting, and you got your ones who will try to do acting, but they end up with a really bad film. Then you have your mixed bags like Madonna and J-Lo. They've done both good and bad films. Trace Adkins is one of those guys who he will bring that role and does an amazing job. I saw him in another western a while back called I think it's called The Outsider. That's what it was called, and he was the villain in that one.
Yeah.
And I thought he was amazing in that film, and I was so glad that he pulled it off again. Like, this proved lightning struck twice for him, in my opinion. He did an amazing job as the villain here. I think this guy's destined to play villains in western films.
I think that Trace deserves to play a big hero in one. I think that's definitely in my cards. I love Trace. I've worked with Trace for what is this, it was my second movie with Trace, and I just shot with him this summer in Hawaii on another movie where he's the lead, which he's a hero. And he's gotten better with every movie he's done. Like, I'm very familiar with his entire acting career. And I think you're going to see a lot of really big things coming up for Trace. I know of a few. I can't speak of them, but he's doing some really, really big things.
I'm glad to hear that. And like I said, he's going to be one of those ones who transition and really make the good stuff, like, for sure. And
yeah, he's great, man.
I love it. I love it that he did, like, he was more of a mastermind in this one. Like, he's kind of like the puppeteer. Like, he's the self-proclaimed leader of the town, and he's, you know, that's what made it brilliant for this role, because he just brought it, like, totally.
You know, he's not. Interestingly enough, what I love is complicated characters, which he's a very complicated character, because he's not really the villain. If you really think about it, he's just doing his job, and he's trying to do his job, and unfortunately there's this impeding, you know, agreement that is making it so his guys can't do that. And just like any person, even in modern day, is trying to, like, get their job done, there's some bad apples, and, you know, like, if we have our Army or our Marines, whatever, of course there's some bad apples in there. And I look at Trace's character, and I'm like, the guy's just trying to clear the West of a bunch of outlaws, and he can't do it. So he's trying to use any means he can to do that. So it's kind of an interesting, complicated character. Because it comes off as one of the villains, but if you really dive deep into it, you're like, well, he's an Army captain out there just trying to bring some law and order to the land, you know?
Yeah, I think you make a pretty good point there, because that reminds me of that totally reminds me when Scott Adkins played Boyka in Undisputed 2. Like, at first glance he's the villain, but then there's a scene where he actually kills two of his henchmen for drugging his opponent, and that made me realize, all right, maybe he's not a bad guy after all. He's just a guy who wants to prove that he is this amazing fighter, but he wants to challenge the best. And why use cheating methods? So, yeah, now that you bring that up, I'm going to have to watch this again. I think you might have a very valid point with that. Totally.
Yeah, it's complicated characters, man. That was one of those characters that was fun to write, and you got to kind of walk that line as to what's good and what's bad, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I talked with Scout, and she was saying the most difficult thing was that you guys went 2 weeks into shooting, and then, of course, we all got hit with COVID, the COVID pandemic, and that must have been heartbreaking when you had to take that long break and then you had to change locations. Where did you end up shooting the film?
So we shot in New Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
On a very famous Western movie ranch, and then we had to transition. We went dark for like 7-8 months.
Yeah, I think that's what she told
7
me.
months. And we came back and we finished it out in by Joshua Tree, which was very challenging to match up to the set we had before. I think we pulled it off. I think it looks pretty good.
It looked convincing to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It was a challenge, and and we did it, and it was COVID was a difficult time to get through that, especially on a movie of this size, but we did it, and it proved that a lot of adversity can be overcome, with the right people.
Oh, totally. And like I said, the movie, I thought you guys did a great job on that film, and I hope people get to see this. And I know there's a lot of Western fans out there, and they might want something different. I think they're totally going to get it with this film, in my opinion.
Thanks, man.
So finally, is there anything that you have coming up that you can talk about?
Yeah, I went and I shot a film this summer in Hawaii. One of my favorite films of all time is Jaws, and so we went and we shot a practical shark movie in Hawaii. We built the shark, and I got to work with Trace again. Trace is one of the leads. Stuart's other co-star from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Shane West, is also in it.
Nice.
And Nikki Whalen, and so we gotta go shoot that out on the water and on the beaches in Maui. And it was a massive challenge. Again, we shot it during COVID too, and it was a massive challenge. But we did that, and then I got another Western. I shot another Western this summer with Casper Van Dien, Ed Marone, Tom Berenger, and Judd Nelson.
Awesome. Oh, that's a cast. I'm definitely going to look out for that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Apache Junction is coming out September the 24th, and those who like to see Westerns from a different point of view, but still have that awesome hero and all the stuff that you all like about Westerns, they're going to want to see this one. Justin, you did a great job on this film, and I wish you all the best, and I hope the film is a success, and I can't wait to see more of your work.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Thanks for the time.
All right, man, you take care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.